Hello guys, and welcome to ILG the Pro League. This match is between Team Ruthless and LowElo. The first, firstly, let me introduce my co-caster.
I'm Oblivious, the ex-jungler of Oblique Gaming.
And I'm Todd, from Team Maleficent. Hey guys, what's up?
So, bans and picks right now. Bans going up from Team Ruthless, Zed and Derailed. What do you think of those?
It's like they're focusing their bans on Forbidden Requiem because he's really good on Zed. The Zed is just a general strong ban. And I'm guessing the purple team bans are focused at the jungler of the blue team, which is Abardas, who mainly plays only Y and Sejuani. And Sejuani is really strong right now in the jungle, so like she's like god tier.
And I do believe Forbidden Requiem picked up the Zed the last game against Team RuthlessGaming Gaming, and that's one of the reasons they have banned out the Zed. And I'm surprised Team Ruthless have banned out the Zed, considering that Kaka mains Zerath as well, and I believe Kaka is their mid laner, but now we see why it is. They just wanna rather pick away the LeBlanc and have some lane pressure against Forbidden Requiem, who in solo queue is a challenger player. So yeah. We do see the Maokai taken away by Garbage. I believe Garbage plays a lot of Maokai, and Talmid locks in that Lee Sin for some early game pressure. And meanwhile, could this actually be an Urgot pick coming from Brutality, one of India's best AD carries, and I believe he's challenger himself. Yeah, and considering that Urgot is in fact in this current patch really broken and very OP, and not many people are actually used to playing against him, he might actually be a real threat to face. And a Janna pick from Cranko is a likely possibility because Cranko is comfortable on these main supports like Thresh, Janna, and Morgana as well to an extent. But you do see that the Thresh gets banned out, knowing that Cranko kind of is a beast on that Thresh. Take it away, guys. Talk about the other picks coming in.
Talking about bot lane right now for Team Ruthless, Morgana and Sivir, that's an extremely strong lane, purely because they have so much escape from junglers, so much escape from any mid roams, along with that spell shield and the snare, and Sivir's speed up with her spell shield as well. Yep. I don't think Blitzcrank would be the best person against this lane, purely because of all the spell shields. But we'll just see what they pick. Talking about the picks in terms of the rest of the team, the spell shields are going to be really helpful when Lee Sin tries to pull off, an insect or like kick them back into the team, and yeah. So their bot lane, Janna and Jinx, a lot of disengage here. Janna being a very protective support. Their bot lane. Jojo?
Yeah. I think Morgana and Sivir is a way stronger lane, like you said, because of all the shields and everything. And if the Morgana lands a snare on the Jinx, they should probably be able to pick off an easy kill. Am I audible?
Indeed.
Hello?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
And I do like the Janna pick because Shifu was hovering over the Blitzcrank initially, and then he was contemplating whether I should go for the Braum. And knowing that there are two spell shields at bot, Braum's Q is pretty much going to be useless majority of the time. So Shifu indeed picks a safe support.
Yep, that was a good choice of switching over.
At least in team fight, she could peel for a escape lacking Jinx.
What do you guys think about the mid lane? Forbidden Requiem mains Kassadin, but isn't he nerfed in this last patch?
Actually, he was buffed in the very last patch. He was
The-
nerfed. He was nerfed really bad the patch before this.
oh, okay.
So overall, he is still quite strong, and you do see all the LCS pros and LCK, the Korean pros in the challenger scene as well as the LCS scene. They have been running that cassette in the mid and sometimes in the top, and it's still a very strong champion. But it is one of those champions that is very weak early game, and unless played, unless they get to late game, it's going to be trouble with that Kassadin and the Jinx and the Maokai as well. But the blue team, that is Ruthless Gaming, will be looking forward to finishing this game early with LeBlanc, Severe, as opposed to a Kassadin and a Jinx. Not to mention the Maokai. Fufu Kitty does indeed pick up the Sion pick, which is a very strong pick late game as well. Individually scaling. And Sion is kind of broken in this patch as well. I feel that because especially in this tank meta, with all these items coming in, the Sion is highly tanky and pretty much outtrades most of the top laners at top at least. And his ultimates, when landed correctly, will result in one of the people being instantly deleted as long as he doesn't land it on the Maokai alone.
We see the blue team having some really good engage potential with the Jarvan, the Morgana snare catch, the Sivir's ulti, and the Sion's ulti. All of them have like catch potential or like engage potential. So the blue team has a very hard engage comp according to me.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
it's good. It's good that Shifu has picked up the Janna against a team like with hard engage. Looks like he'll have to protect the Jinx, and let's see how it goes.
Indeed. But nonetheless, Jojo, I do feel that from what I've seen in the LCS, the Kassadin is actually pretty strong against the LeBlanc in the lane, as opposed to an early game versus late game champion. The Kassadin actually outtrades the LeBlanc because the Kassadin skew pretty much soaks up majority of the damage thrown in by the LeBlanc.
Right.
So I like that pickup from Forbidden Requiem here.
I'm gonna vouch for Requiem, but let's see how it goes. Considering both the mid laners have picked up their main champs, and it's gonna be an interesting matchup.
Indeed.
Really looking forward to this mid roams to bot though. Some really well timed roams to bottom could result in a lot of kills, especially because LeBlanc and Kassadin are both champions that are famous for roaming towards bottom.
True that.
Indeed.
I was gonna say something about the jungler. If I was a Lee Sin, I wouldn't really bother ganking bot lane because with all the double shield, it's gonna be really hard to pick off a kill, and plus a Janna, so it's gonna be hard to get a kill at bot lane. So if I was Lee Sin, I'd probably look at snowballing Requiem or like just counter ganking, I guess.
Indeed, I was about to tell you the exact same thing because with the double spell shield, Lee Sin will never be able to pull off an insect, especially in the bot lane, unless they bait it out earlier. But to get such a scenario in when they are actually having a Janna and Jinx bot lane, it's pretty hard because I believe that Morgana and the Severe should be able to outrade the Jinx and the Janna at least during lane. So if they actually manage to bait out the spell shields, Lee Sin could possibly get a gank out. But rather than wasting a lot of time just camping and waiting to see if they could pop out the spell shields, Lee Sin should just like you said, Jojo, we should focus on just camping the mid lane or the top lane as well. But I mean the top lane is gankable in the very early levels because before they get the tanky items. But once Sion and Maokai do get the tanky items, it's going to be pretty much a unkillable lane for each other. They're just two mega tanks going at each other. They pretty much be scratching each other for 15 minutes before one could kill the other.
True that.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it could be pretty much the strat of their team, like pulling the attention away from bot lane so that Zabardust can focus on other lanes, because Lee Sin's ganks would pretty much be unsuccessful if carried out in the bot lane.
Indeed. I believe Sivir and the Morgana was actually picked in response to the Lee Sin jungle picked up, kind of negating most of Lee Sin's early game,
Gang
strong
potential.
early game. Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. Fancy borders coming in from each and every one of the players here, guys. This is the Pro League. This is the second game and of the first day of Pro League here in ILG. This should yet be another good game to watch. Team LowEloHangout just had their first victory against Team Exodus Gaming. That was a really close game as well. If you hadn't watched it, you should go out on YouTube or Twitch and watch that game, because it was a really close game and anybody could have won that game out. But LowEloHangout, despite not having as strong a late game comp as Team Exodus, they did manage to find the opening, catch out Exodus' AD carry and manage to close out the game. So that's how this game goes, guys.
There's a pause coming out. Because India, yeah. Or Bangladesh, yeah.
I'm pretty tired of saying the exact same thing too as well. Pretty much every game. I mean, it's just standard. I guess you gotta be surprised when you don't see a pause coming in here in ILG.
Todd, your voice is like really breaking. I think, are you lagging or something? Like,
One
are
second.
you having packet loss?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah,
It's fine now.
It's fine now.
okay,
It's fine now.
Okay.
We heard only like alternate words that you were saying.
Okay.
Well, what is the reason for the pause again?
Lag,
No idea.
obviously.
I could.
Yeah, no. Cranko said lag, yeah. Do you think there's any possible invades that'll be happening this game? I think blue team and if
Jojo, you're lagging right now.
oh god, are you serious?
Yeah.
Should I repeat that? I was saying that do you see any invades happening this game?
I
The
mean, I think
possibility.
the invade would favor
Blue team?
Ruthless Gaming, yeah.
Indeed, just because of the Morgana, but other than the
Yeah.
Morgana, no real threat.
I mean, if she catches out someone with her snare, that would be enough time for LeBlanc to take her chain and CC that target. At least blowing a flash, if not grabbing a kill.
Indeed, and I hope that Jana doesn't go out and unlock her shield before any action happens, because if she unlocks the shield and they do get caught, that won't be any howling gale
Yeah,
to
they won't really have any real
disengage. Indeed.
But
This
I'm
is the
pretty
Pro
sure,
League.
being the Pro League,
Yeah, I don't think such mistakes would happen. Anyway.
yeah.
An extended pause time coming in as Brutality finally reconnects. There should be an unpause coming in the next couple of seconds, I guess. Yes, indeed, the game will resume. Yet to be seen whether there will be any oh god, it's been paused again. Never mind.
Never mind that. Just speaking about the mid lane, Todd, I'd really like to know who you actually think is going to come out on top. Do you see any early kills mid lane? Do you see a farm lane? Do you see any early ganks coming in the mid lane? Because we know the junglers love to give the upper hand, especially in a lane that's so volatile as LeBlanc versus a Kassadin.
Indeed. Actually, LeBlanc is one of the really strongest laners in the mid lane, but and Kassadin is one of those champions who relies on getting a couple of items before going in for a team fight. But nonetheless, despite that, the Kassadin against the LeBlanc matchup, like I pointed out during Champion Select, Kassadin actually outtrades the LeBlanc if he manages to, cue the LeBlanc when she's trying to combo the Kassadin. So, if Forbidden Requiem is able to do that, he might actually be able to win the trade. So, locking in that LeBlanc as the first pick, it is pretty risky, but nonetheless, they are. I'm damn sure they both played this matchup against each other. LeBlanc versus Kassadin, and Kassadin was LeBlanc, so they should be knowing what they are up against. It will be evident who will come out ahead in these fights, but I bet my ass that both these mid laners should not be able to get a 1v1 kill against each other. Jungler intervention will pretty much will decide who snowballs who, because this is high elo, guys. You do not see such random mistakes coming from each of these high profile mid laners.
Yep, a consequence of being in the Pro League means that every decision of yours has to be calculated, because anything that isn't calculated will quickly be taken advantage of by the opposite team. We see the red team making... Jinx actually going back for getting her items.
He forgot again, what the fuck?
Okay. Jojo's pretty AFK at the moment.
No,
that early ward coverage to prevent any unknown invades into their jungle.
You do see the Kassadin rework, guys. The animation movement on the Kassadin is very different as opposed to how we used to be. I think the animation looks pretty cool. Have you noticed it, Scarlett? Because we haven't seen the Kassadin picked up at all in the ILG.
You said the Scion rework, didn't you? Okay, sorry.
No, Kassadin. I meant the Kassadin.
Okay, Kassadin, sorry.
Kassadin rework.
Yeah, the Kassadin rework. Actually, he's still pretty strong. It's just the Rift Walk that has been nerfed. His damage is still pretty much... It's the same nerfs as Cat. Like, if you were a good Kassadin player, the nerfs should not affect you as much as it did to people that just abused his ult range, which they were trying to balance.
I do believe that Kassadin's Rift Walk's cooldown has been reduced as opposed to the range as well. So it's all in all, it's a fair trade, I guess. A little bit of the range being sacrificed for a slightly lesser cooldown. I think it's got on level 3, the Rift Walk has a 2.5 second cooldown. Despite any other cooldown items, I guess. That's what I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Looking at the mid lane here, I think Kassadin's actually going to go for a very passive lane, at least to level 6, because he's started with a Crystalline Flask. Meaning that Kaka, the mid laner for Ruthless Gaming, does have the advantage going with the Doran's Ring. But that Crystalline Flask will give him sustain in lane. LeBlanc actually in the top lane.
Yeah, it's going to be a duo top lane coming for the very first time here in the ILG. This is very, very surprising, and I'm excited to look at this. And lane swaps going everywhere as Sion being sent to mid. LeBlanc was sent top in order to face the Maokai, but LeBlanc will be extremely surprised to actually see a duo lane top as Diana is trying to outtrade the LeBlanc, as in put a lot of damage on the LeBlanc, failing to realize that LeBlanc is the one actually putting more.
Is going for that invade, does steal the blue from under Lee Sin's nose. Maokai is backing, refusing to go in on that and try and get back the blue by killing him. Obviously because they were too low and still level 1. Zabardust may abuse this power that he has by going in for the Lee Sin. Lee Sin is caught out, but will make it out because he does not have the damage to kill him. Zabardust, an extremely good display of skill, taking that advantage because he knew that the leash would not be as strong as it would have been if the bot lane had given the leash. causing Maokai to go back and use his teleport to get back in lane, but still being put behind in farm because Sivir is ranged. Zabardust is being caught out by the top lane. Kranko is there to support. This might be trouble for Synchro if the snare lands, but not going in. Even though that would have been a 3v2 if LeBlanc had chosen to fight.
I think the lane
is
swap
still
is gonna
sticking
favor.
around. Zabardust goes back in. Shifu is in trouble. The snare goes out. Heal from Jinx. And that is first blood to Ruthless Gaming.
That lane swap did not go well in the favor of team LowEloHangout, as first blood was actually picked against the duo top lane. But thanks to the Morgana roam coming in from Kranko, it was.
And not only that, just look at the farm difference gathering up by the ADCs right now. Brutality being uncontested by that short range Maokai in the bot lane is on 24 farm, whereas Jinx has only 11.
Meanwhile, Zabardust getting executed by Grom. That was pretty funny to watch, but that's the price.
I guess just a tiny little bit of.
Yeah, he paid the price for camping out in the top lane, but overall he take the trade because he did help assisting. I mean, he did get the first.
Maokai's DC, don't kill him, boss.
Yup, that is a DC, and Maokai might just die to the minions here as garbage disconnects. But I do think that the minion aggro is just too much. That Brutality will, despite being a sportive AD carry, stopping the auto attack, Maokai will still go down.
He might not if the Lee Sin can W to him.
He can.
Take the aggro from the minions, but...
Indeed, but he's not in range. He'll have to burn his flash to do that. Let's see if that will suffice. Indeed.
A lot of helpful advice coming out from Ruthless Gaming. Good sportsmanship. Although it might just be a jab to their self-esteem.
It's a nice thing that Ruthless actually paused because LowElo did realize that he was DC.
Oh, Ruthless paused it instead of LowElo?
Yeah, I think Ruthless paused it.
That's good sportsmanship coming right there. I'm happy to see that, man. In the semi-pro league, pretty much every team, they kept, it was obvious a person was just DC'd, and they just, instead of just taking other objectives and getting a lead, they even started killing the obvious AFK and DCs. That was so. I guess that's the difference between pro league and semi-pro league, as each player is, living up to that the sportsmanship behavior. Meanwhile, this first lane swap here in the ILG ever, it's going to be interesting to see how all these lane swaps work, because all the three lanes have been jumbled over. The Sion, who's supposed to be going top, has been sent to the mid lane up against the Kassadin, and while Maokai has been sent bot lane, leaving LeBlanc against a duo top. I feel overall this will not work in favor of Team Exodus, as LeBlanc has to rely on that early pressure, and which will be completely negated if she's being starved of form, as opposed to champions like Maokai, who, despite being slightly underpowered, under farmed, he'll still be sufficiently tanky enough to hold, and he will scale late game, unlike the LeBlanc, where she has to get that early game rolling for sure.
I mean, just thinking about the concept between, the concept on the swap lane that they were trying to do, they would assume that the Sion would have been facing the Jinx and Janna, and they were surprised to see that LeBlanc. So Sion going mid to face against a passive Kassadin that had taken a Crystalline Flask, I don't think is in favor of Ruthless, but it seems to be working. Just in the bot lane, I don't think it's gonna work out for Team LowEloHangout, just purely because Brutality is getting exactly the farm that he needs. And even though Lee Sin might focus more on bottom, it's just I don't think it's gonna be enough to stop him once it gets to the late game.
Indeed.
How,
And
how, However, now with the late swap and Morgana roaming, I think Lee Sin and Maokai should be able to kill the Sivir 2v1 if he ganks properly. To stop Brutality from getting ahead.
there's a possibility Maokai would never be able to root up the Severe 1v1. But if Maokai could bait that spell shield coming from the Severe, Lee Sin could possibly help clean up the kill onto the Severe with his insect moves, or just a plain QR combo. The first blood onto the onto the Janna top lane actually resulted in Jinx having to stay back and play a little passive. That is exactly why you're seeing the farm deficit on Synchro on that Jinx, as opposed to Brutality in the bot lane having a very good time against the Maokai 1v1. As you see, 17:30 CS deficit going in favor of Brutality. But meanwhile, in the mid lanes, it's pretty even. 27:22. No real danger. But LeBlanc, like I've said, Scarlet and Jojo, don't you think LeBlanc, being one of these early game champions and one who has to get those initial items to put a lot of pressure in the mid game, if LeBlanc is being denied a lot of farm, don't you think it'll work in favor of team LowEloHangout?
I mean, I think that what you're talking about is a really early game focused analysis right now, because it doesn't matter whether her early game is strong, because against a team that has Kassadin and Maokai, the ADC needs to be strong and needs to be able to self-peel, because late game, it's just about picking. It's just you get that one pick, then you push objectives, and the game's over. So the early game for LeBlanc is really strong, but that's the sacrifice that they're going to have to make if they get that early farm for the ADC.
Indeed. So we can expect the AD carry Brutality stepping up ahead. Meanwhile, sacrificing LeBlanc's early game power. So a lot of these team fights will be centered around Brutality for Team Ruthless Gaming, and I'm really happy to see that Team Ruthless Gaming, despite being surprised by the lane swap, is holding up. I'm happy to see Kranko wisely.
The Maokai is gonna survive.
the last bounce hit Maokai, but he still survived. Yeah.
Yes, Junior, I saw that.
he let him go, but he almost got the kill. Holy shit.
I mean, I guess that wouldn't necessarily be an AFK kill, because he was aware of AD. We can see Janna roaming mid. I don't know what she thinks that she can accomplish, purely because she's level 2. Just gonna take some pickpocket gold, I guess. I have no idea. Meanwhile, LeBlanc getting her CS, while Jinx has to slowly walk back into lane without the teleport that which you would usually see on a top laner. Jarvan is gonna attempt a gank onto the pre-6 Kassadin, but his flash is still up, and and the cube used by Sion takes the brunt of that snare.
No harm done, no summoners burnt. Kassadin will survive a 3-man gank, plainly due to the fact that he was playing safe under the tower. Knowing that Morgana is missing on the map, it could mean that she could possibly be in the mid lane, and that exactly is what just happened. Meanwhile, Maokai is not doing a really bad job himself, as he's having a pretty decent...
And I feel like
Yes.
it is important to keep brutality from farming up, but right now, the Lee Sin is behind from not getting that experience of the blue buff and getting, I think both of his buffs stolen.
Someone should tell Jana that you're not supposed to walk into the snare or whatever. I think she thinks the objective of the snare is to walk into it. She keeps walking into it and dying like 50 times.
But it could also be the case of Lee Sin. Lee Sin goes in aggressive onto the Caitlyn. I mean Sivir, and that's exactly what I was talking about. If Maokai could bait out that spell shield, Lee Sin could potentially get a kill onto Sivir, and that's exactly what happened, guys, right there. And Lee Sin making use of his early game pressure, and he's making his way into the mid lane, but that's a very tanky Sion who's pretty much playing it safe back. No pressure will happen after that. Meanwhile, it's Dragon is up, and you gotta note, guys. If there is a 2v1 lane in the top lane, that will actually result in whichever team sends the support bot lane will have a man advantage, resulting in a free, dragon exchange.
It's not a really good thing that Gassadin is getting free farm versus Sion. Usually when lane swaps work, they send the bot lane to mid to shut down the Cass early. So he's denied of CS, but sending a Sion mid versus a Cass is just giving him free farm. He's at like 56 and LeBlanc's at like 42, so...
Indeed. Darwin forcing a flash onto Jana in the top lane. As Cassidy was given the blue buff to spam away a lot of his mana. Meanwhile, the 3-man gank under the turret, Java being forced out,
well
and Garbage
played
will
by
manage
Maokai.
Indeed.
That was really
and
well
Java
played
could get
by
caught out
Maokai.
right here as Forbidden Requiem comes in and cleans up the kill onto the Javan who was already taken low. Exhaust coming over to onto the Morgana. Sion will come in to save Morgana from Forbidden Requiem's Cassidy, and Cranko on that Morgana will be safe. He's quite healthy and he will just walk away. So that's an exhaust burnt by Jana for nothing. So all in all, it was a actually 2-for-1 kills exchange in favor of team Yellow Hangout, as Kaka did go down in the top lane.
It was 2-for-0, so it was worth. It wasn't 2-for-1.
Oh, okay, 2-for-0. Yeah, indeed. As Sion is going really low on mana, as opposed to the Cassidy, who is spamming away happily with his blue buff.
Sorry, I'm back. I actually fell from my chair.
Guys, take over. I have a guest at home. 1 sec.
Alright. Looking at bot lane, Shifu has no wards, and we can possibly see a gang coming in right now. If Cranko
They are
lands
playing
snare,
very
that is.
offensive though. I think they did see Zabardust. Did you see that red ping going out in the bot lane? Zabardust, knowing that he saw that, is gonna go immediately get that skull crab. Fufu in the mid lane, not having mana. I don't think they can successfully carry out a gank unless Kaka is gonna try and land that snare. But it's gonna be really
that was very well predicted.
That was a really good prediction from Kaka, but just barely missed it.
Looking at the vision control of blue team, we have a lot of deep wards by Zabardust, I guess. Oh no, it's by Cranko. Yeah, Cranko and Zabardust getting some really nice vision control in the red side jungle, as opposed to the red side's vision control.
Yep. And we haven't seen any of those early dragons carried out by the junglers, mostly because they've been focusing on ganking the lanes. Whereas the difference that you can see between Pro League and the Semi-Pro is that every other league does not have this many wards on the map at 11 minutes in. And there's at least a fighted dragon already happened, but Semi-Pro obviously is a lot more patient with the kills, patient with their rotations, patient with their objective control.
By the way, meanwhile at bot, there was a really nice flash out by Cranko and landing that snare as well. And now Hamid gets caught out as well. So we're possibly going to look at the first dragon going down at the 12th minute.
And that's exactly the strength that Morgana has over the Lee Sin. That Todd told me the Morgana pick was in direct response to that Lee Sin. Lee Sin did kick her away, but that spell shield just negated any CC that could have come out from that Lee Sin kick.
Looks like Frost's Morgana inspires a lot of people, huh? Meanwhile, at top lane, we have Maokai just free farming because the LeBlanc was roaming. So we see Maokai on par with the Scion CS right now, both of them being at 80. But Maokai with 2 kills in hand, so it's probably way ahead right now. The difference in CS is mainly on the mid laners and the ADCs. Because you have your top lane even, your mid lane is favoring the red team, while the ADC of Ruthless Gaming, that is Brutality, is ahead of Synchro. So we should possibly be seeing Synchro getting some free farm now and catching up.
I mean, well, the CS difference between the mid laners is something that's to be looked at too. I mean, 20 farm on the AP carry and the AD carry. That's like about 400 gold. Red team is taking board control over this dragon area. They might attempt some sort of fight at dragon. Requiem is going, and a beautiful route by Maokai engages this fight.
That was a really good cataclysm by Jarvan because he got 3 of them in there and he flashed out.
But Brutality is not being focused down, is not the focus of this fight. Kassadin is going to get away. I think Shifu will end up going down, but uses the slow to get away. And that is going to be a good fight in terms of how bad they were caught in the first place. A very disengaged coming out from Shifu in that fight. Using that
Monsoon.
Yeah, using that ult to heal up, as well as push away members of Ruthless Gaming.
Yeah, that fight actually, even though it didn't go too well for LowEloHangout, they traded 2 for 1, so it eventually favored them.
Ruthless Gaming is going to take away that blue buff using their advantage over Dragon. I mean, over the ward control at Dragon. They might be looking to take this Scuttle Crab and then attempt to do Dragon, but this is
a free Dragon for blue team considering they saw Synchro on the top lane, unless Lee Sin does something crazy and Smite steals it.
True, that's actually extremely a really good decision on Ruthless Gaming at this point. Knowing that the lane swap is going to leave her without any way to get towards bottom, they engaged a very good. They used that knowledge to their advantage and just took that dragon.
It's pretty interesting that Jarvan's gone for a skirmisher saber with the warriors and channel.
Well, I don't know much about jungling, so you're gonna have to elaborate on that.
No, I usually prefer the Stalker's Blade, or like the second option would probably be Rangers. But I don't know why he built the skirmishers. But then again, I haven't played in like really long now, so I'm not too sure if that item's got a buff or something. Looking at the 2 ADCs, you see Sivir with almost 2 items done. His IE is done, and Synchro on the other hand hasn't even finished his IE, so he's slightly behind at this point in time. We see a possible engage coming in. It was a good engage by the Maokai.
Sion is out of mana and half health. I think this is just going to be sieging the turret, not really a fight breaking out. Unless someone decides to dive, but their diving force is below half health right about now. They're just going to take this turret and choose to back off. Red team doing a really good job of clearing those minions, not having the amount of AoE that they're supposed to have, only having that Jinx switchable auto attack to clear those waves. Without getting too close as to getting caught by that Morgana snare.
We will probably
And this is exactly
looking at Kaka
when the
picking
Lee
someone
Sin is
out right now.
supposed to shine, getting that Q on the AD carry, but he can't go in, purely because of that Morgana spell shield and the Sivir spell shield. Just negates Lee Sin's pick potential completely. Jojo, what do you think about Lee Sin rushing his mobility boots?
That's really good at Lee Sin, considering like Lee Sin's always all over the place ganking lanes. He's a very gank oriented jungler.
But knowing that he's behind, do you think he should still focus on ganking?
I mean, now it's, in this situation it's pretty pointless of him going mobility boots because he's really behind as opposed to the Jarvan. Otherwise, in general, a mobility boots would be a good item on Lee Sin or any jungler for that matter. But since he's a little behind, I think I would have rather gone for a Morph Thread or something like that. It's good that we see a lot of pinks being bought by the red team. And we have 2 side stones, so we possibly have a lot of vision control coming up now for the red team, some deep wards, etc. I think this is one of the main differences between the Pro League and any other league that's there in the ILG. It's probably vision control.
Yeah, the amount of wards on the map.
Yep. The other teams usually in the lower leagues, I don't see them warding too much if I remember right.
Yep. That and very particularly chosen team fights, I think, is the main difference. I think everything is factored in when it comes to Pro League, like how many people are in the mid lane right now, is anyone in the top lane, how many objectives are there to take after this, which rotation.
We see Shifu getting caught up for the 33rd time in this
uses
game.
the spell shield to escape from Maokai's lockdown, a very good spell shield, but then the flash comes right after, which is burnt to get away from that Maokai and Lee Sin. Kassadin now coming out, a flash from Kranko to snare the Maokai. He might be picked off, but no, Shifu stops that using his Monsoon. He barely gets away with a sliver of health. Sion does go in with that ult, knocks up just the Kassadin, and he is going to be taken down with the help of that Jarvan Cataclysm.
That was a lot of
The snare
CC.
landing by Kranko through those minions. Very good use of that snare, but is not going to be able... the teleport coming in from Maokai directly from base. Synchro still in the top lane. Team Ruthless using this to their advantage and just picking off kills with their CC. This is extremely favorable for Ruthless Gaming, especially since they have 3 kills from this fight. 2 kills from this fight actually, with no loss of life. Stealing the blue buff as well, having that extra blue buff is gonna give it to the AD carry. Now 3 members on Ruthless Gaming have the blue buff.
We see the blue team porting back for the dragon, which is going to be up in 20 seconds. Looks like it's going to be in favor of the blue team again, unless the red team decides to do something about it and contest the next dragon.
I'm not even sure they have the timer because because Ruthless Gaming had done such a good job of warding out. So they might be unaware because no one is making a move towards that dragon, which is alive right now.
I'm not too...
Is putting down that pink ward.
You just look around, they have 1 green ward on the entire map when they have 2 side
2 green
stones, so
wards,
that's
Jojo.
like... Okay, 2, whatever.
3 agree, actually.
As opposed
But the red
to
team is aware of the jungling. Aware of the objective that's being contested right now. The dragon. Maka is flanking, looking for a pick, hopefully over the wall. Does see that Jinx
we're going
towards
to
the back
possibly
of the.
see Kaka trying to do something funny and go and burst the Jinx, I guess. Being all sneaky. Sneaky, sneaky.
Maka is looking to engage. Kranko uses that but falls and does not manage to land that snare. Kaka does try to take down the Lee Sin but isn't able to. Forbidden might be going for Kaka, does manage to kill him, but Brutality is being is not being focused. Synchro is not gonna fall. Instead, focus being put onto the Kassadin, but the lockdown from Maokai is gonna
That was a
just
really
gonna
good
obliterate.
fight, favoring LowEloHangout. That was really well played by Forbidden, and some amazing peel by Garbage. This is one thing that I've noticed about Garbage and Maokai. He just peels like a beast for the ADC. Synchro also positioning pretty well that fight and like managing to survive. I'm not too sure why Kranko got caught out, because I've noticed this about Kranko. He just sometimes does some random stuff and gets caught out way too early. Brutality was still in the bot lane. And then he just died.
He does this play style of doing high risk, high reward, pulling
Right.
off that snare. I mean, I would have actually suggested that, not suggested, but if it was me, I wouldn't have pulled off that if I didn't have any source of some way to negate the crowd control that would go on me, like a Zanya, which he is on the way to building right now. But his high risk, high reward play unfortunately did not pay off in this situation, leading to almost like a 4 for none exchange in favor of LowEloHangout.
It was a 4 for 2 because the Lee Sin and the Janna went down, but still the three main laners were still alive, which isn't a good thing. And remember what I was telling you earlier, the free farm that Requiem got versus the Scion is all showing now, because we have the Kassadin at 162 CS, which he just farmed for free through the first 15 minutes of the game, where now he has 4 kills and the snowballing is begun. And there ain't nothing that's going to stop that.
You have to remember, Kaka is not that far behind. I mean, 3 kills to Kassadin's 4, but he's not that far behind in terms of 20 CS in a 24-minute game. The lead obviously has to build up over time. A really good engage comes out from Zabardust, using that Cataclysm to knock up 2 people and get the kill for Ruthless Gaming. Shifu taken down by that Franco ult.
I'm not sure what that was. That was quite the throw right now by LowEloHangout. Garbage getting caught out, Requiem going down, Lee Sin going full retard and just like walking in to kick a guy to die. And yeah, that's gonna cost them an inhib.
I mean, I guess that's the difference between between the teams right now. It's just that decision making that that you have to thoroughly think out for engaging. Actually, it was a very good engage by Ruthless Gaming. Using that speed up from Silver's ult, just managed to catch them out. Plus the lack of vision from Red Team doesn't really help. A blue buff is being given to the Kassadin. Even as you manage to just look at the map right now, 14 to 9, the amount of wards that are on the map on red side's jungle placed by Ruthless Gaming is just very applaudable. Jojo? Okay. We can see Ruthless
Sorry,
Gaming
I'm back. I was on a call.
using their advantage and sieging the bot lane. Kranko trying to land a few snares to hopefully stop the Maokai from engaging, using that spell shield just to negate any CC that might go out on the AD carry. Maokai does that pop that ult. He might fall, but Zabardust does not land that Q. Kranko using a very good snare onto Kassadin. He uses that Zanya to negate the damage. Lee Sin from behind just batters onto them. Goes and only Scion's left to defend Ruthless Gaming's legacy. Unfortunately, I don't think there was much peel happening from the tanks of Ruthless Gaming right there because everyone just was focused on diving LowEloHangout that they just forgot about the Lee Sin that had flanked them, along with the AP carry that was caught by then.
I'm back, sorry. I was on a call. Anyway, that fight went on really well for the red team. But I don't know why Fufu isn't peeling too much for his team. He's going in and trying to deal damage. And on the other end, you see the other top laner, which is Garbage, peeling a lot for his team. But unfortunately,
I mean,
this
according
fight...
to his build, he's going for a kind of semi-tank, and not semi-tank, but a big tank. So peeling is supposed to be his main concern, if not trying to soak up the damage, which he was trying to do in his defense. But just purely that, I think that that engage under the tower was uncalled for. They could have just taken objective control. Dragon coming up in about 2 minutes of that fight, they could have pushed the top lane, try to siege that tower as well as bottom, knowing that Team LowEloHangout is behind on kills and might not be able to defend both. They were just concentrating too hard on pushing on one lane. I mean, I can't pass judgment too much because obviously I'm not at the same level of play as these players, but just a misplayed team fight by...
But looking at the CS, I think almost all lanes are on par with each other except again the ADC and the mid lane. We have the mid lane ahead with LowEloHangout, and Sivir is ahead of the Jinx.
That Sivir is gonna take that dragon uncontested.
That's the
Purely
second
because
dragon
of the,
for blue team, and red team have got one right now, right?
Sorry?
I said that's 2 dragons for the blue team and 1 for the red team.
Yep.
See a
Blue
nice
team
engage
is
by
engaged in the mid
Kranko
lane.
again.
Kranko again with his high risk, high reward plays. That
Right.
is a payoff, taking down that AD carry for no deaths. Zabardust is being caught up by the red team here though. No backup from Fufu Cutie, which he's supposed to do.
That was a good Q by Lee Sin, finishing off the Jarvan. So we see a disengage
That was
coming
a very
in.
good engage by
The blue team, yeah.
By blue team, but it really didn't make sense knowing that the AD carry was in the bottom lane, except for maybe catching out the Jinx, which did pay off, but Jinx being so far behind, I don't think that was the right trade to make in terms of the jungler being so important with 5 kills in his pocket.
I think we'll be looking at a QSS being picked up this game by the Jinx. What do you think? Because of all the CC that blue team has, and Jinx has no innate escape spell. So
I think she's focusing a little bit too much on getting that peel that she needs from her support. But as I said earlier, the peel does not... there's not much a team can do for you when it reaches endgame, purely because the support becomes very squishy when pit against someone with a high damage output. Lee Sin does land that Q on Scion, goes in, and Zabardust with a great smite does not allow Lee Sin to steal. But blue team is being funneled on right now with that Maokai.
I don't think this is favoring the blue team at all. That was good positioning by Synchro, I guess. Okay, not really good positioning, but well played by the red team. Garbage is just being a beast of a Maokai in the whole fight, soaking up everything possible.
Yeah, he is providing the exact peel that an ADC does need in this fight.
Requiem going straight up for brutality and a well-timed Zhonya's letting Synchro and Garbage follow up and finish off the ADC. That wasn't really a good Baron call in my opinion because clearly they got aced and they're gonna lose possibly 1 or 2 towers at mid lane. That was a 5 for 0 exchange, right? So that wasn't worth it all. I don't even like Barons anymore. It isn't like the old Baron. I'd just rather do dragons and get my 5th dragon, and that wins games so much easier. Baron is nice, but it's not worth it because most of the times you end up throwing.
Yeah.
When you go for an early Baron, especially with all 5 people alive. It's a nice thing that Zabardast at least smited it because otherwise it'd be in like real shit right now.
A complete loss for Ruthless Gaming in that
Yep.
instance.
Yep.
Leeson did go in for that smite steal, but
Yep.
the quick CC from Ruthless Gaming stopped him from getting that smite steal, along with, you know, Zabardast steal, but I think it was just a really bad judgment call, seeing some members in the mid lane that caused them to try and force that quick Baron. A very good snare onto Kassadin makes him completely irrelevant in this fight. Synchro being able to hit from afar, but Maokai is just soaking up the damage. Sion's ult being blocked by the Lisa in a flash to avoid any damage, but still gets taken down by Kaka's spells. The inhibitor is gonna go down. Just the pure damage output from Ruthless Gaming is carrying this fight for them.
That was like the biggest throw ever. I mean, not a throw, but a good catch by Cranko. And I think this is going to be GG right now. Yeah, it is GG.
Who is going to go down? Cranko is going to ult and Zhonya's. This is going to be GG for Ruthless Gaming. They're trying to pick up that last kill before ending this game. Garbage and Kassadin coming out from...
That was a really good game. It was pretty close. Couple of throws by both teams. But
I mean, it is possible that they might be able to defend this, but no one is focusing the AD carry that has so much farm under his belt. And that's exactly why I favor brutality from start to finish.
Ruthless Gaming clearly coming on top and picking up the win.